Welcome, everybody, to the Altadena Talks podcast. As you know, we're black, so sometimes we come in 2 or 3 minutes afterwards. But nonetheless, we will be here every day, Monday through Friday at 10ish. And
Emphasis on the ish.
yes, ish. We're ish-ish. So once again, I'm Brian Bacchus, and you're not.
And I'm Jamal Smith, and again, we welcome you to the latest edition of Altadena Talks, where we provide you the resources that you need to help you, rebuild your world and your life.
Rebuild your world.
Yeah, we should make a song out of that.
No,
Absolutely.
We're going to have to.
And and today, of course, is Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's TONI Talks, and she has a very special guest that'll come on a little bit later. But first, I'm going to go ahead and go over some of the announcements. A lot of them are the same from yesterday, but I'll add a few little touches to it. So here we go.
We're going to add some touches.
Some touches. Can you remove the banner, please?
I surely can. Give me one hot second.
Por favor. I should have probably moved that one. All right, so Union Station Homeless Services. Again, they actually have a free pickup on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can get hygiene products, bedding, body wash, bars of soap, shampoo, stable shelf food, snacks, sack lunches, baby stuff like diapers, wipes, and formula, as well as there'll be assorted gift cards. And this is located at 412 South Raymond Avenue in Pasadena. And again, Wednesdays, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. For information, you can reach out to Eaton Fire at ushs.org. And then World Central Kitchen is serving hot meals at key hubs around the city. And they're offering portable water stations, supporting bi-weekly farmers markets across SoCal. Below are a couple of the local locations. The first one is Pasadena Sierra Madre YMCA. This is at 611 East Sierra Madre Boulevard in Sierra Madre. The other location is Gordy's Garage parking lot at 843 West Woodbury Road in Altadena. In both locations, it will be open from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then it will be closed for an hour and then reopen from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m.
You got to let the grill cool down. They over there grilling over at Gordy's Garage.
That's right. And then we have Williams Home Rebuild. They're actually conducting a virtual town hall in conjunction with the Zeta Tau chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. They're actually featuring a panel of experts that will provide resources, professional tips, and a playbook for families as they rebuild their homes. This webinar is going to be on Thursday, February 27th from 8 p.m. till 9 p.m. And for information, you can email at rebuild@williamshomes.com. And you can also email to register or click the Zoom link. Now, we're going to have this flyer on our website where you can actually click the Zoom meeting link and you can register. Or if you want to take this shortened link that we provided right here on the screen, you can register at altadenatalks.org/rebuild webinar. All right. And again, the disaster relief claim assistance will actually be available on Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and Fridays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is at Jackie Robinson Community Center at 1020 North Fair Oaks Avenue in Pasadena. And then again, we have these deadlines. Now, we did let you guys know yesterday that they did extend the American Red Cross registration deadline. Yesterday, we had indicated it was Thursday, the 27th. However, I did get an email from Senator Sasha Perez that actually said that it is on the 26th. So it's tomorrow. Tomorrow, February 26th, is the deadline for American Red Cross registration. However, FEMA and SBA registration still are on the deadline is the 10th of March, as well as the right of entry form for you to opt in. The deadline is the 31st of March still. And the Disaster Recovery Center, again, is open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. You can also get your permitting and planning done all in this one place. And this is going to be located at 540 West Woodbury Road in Altadena. And that's it for, that's it for what I have in terms of slides right now. But I do want to mention that I was forwarded some information from our longtime listener and former guest, and will be another guest from Marcus Betts, that there is a company that's offering some low-cost storage for folks who need a place to store all the things that they've actually, gathered. Maybe they got some donations or what have you, because I know that is one of the problems that, folks have. They're given a lot of stuff, but since everything was burned down, they don't have anywhere to put it. So I'll provide that information for you probably tomorrow, okay? But I did want to let you know it's available. Now, with all that said, is there anything you want to say until... What are you laughing at, man? Oh, okay. With all that said, now it's Tuesday. You know what that means? You know what that means, B?
That means it's dun 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 dun. It's time for the Tony Talks show. Dun, 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 dun. We need some music to bring her in,
We're gonna get some music, and without further ado, here we have the illustrious Tony. So talk, Tony. What's going on?
Hey. Hey, good morning. And you guys are hilarious. Look.
Wait, hold on. We gotta highlight that. Hold on. There we go. Let's take the sign down. Do it again. Shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
She outdid us, man. She outdid us. Now we like falling behind.
And I was like, no, I'm gonna make my own. So it's all good. It's all good.
Got the copyright on there and everything, girl. You trying to make sure she registered. She registered.
Exactly. How you guys doing this morning?
Outstanding.
Doing all right.
Good. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Kimberly, I see that you put good morning. So, hey, good morning to everyone in Altadena Talks podcast land. Today, I'm excited. I have another builder that I'm bringing on to the Tony Talks show. And let's get it. Are you all staying on with me, or are you ditching me and coming back?
We're gonna ditch you.
I think we're ditching you right now.
Oh wow. Okay. Bye. They left quickly. So this morning I am bringing in Allison Allain. Mm-hmm. She is the principal, the owner, the founder of PCI Builders. And just a little bit about Allison that I thought was interesting that I, researched on her. But Allison, tell me a little bit, or tell everybody who's on the podcast about your history, because I thought it was very interesting. You were in the film industry, I guess, and you were a set designer, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. And then you call yourself a handyman, handy woman. Yeah. But tell me a little bit about you, how you started PCI Builders, and then the funniest thing was when we were on the phone and you told me what PCI stood for, and I just thought, oh, that is perfect. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Good morning, Tony. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on here. Yes, I actually have a degree in theater. I was a set builder and a line designer, stage manager, producer, director, all around just theater person. I got headhunted after college by a handyman company that was like, oh my God, these, crazy theater people, they can do all this stuff. So I became a handyman, handy woman. And then, because I'm always nervous about breaking the rules. And so when my job started to get really big, I was like, well, obviously I need to go get my general contractor's license. So I did. I got my general contractor's license. And yes, I also was in film. I have a SAG card. I'm a SAG member still. It's just a strange journey that got me here. But, when doors open, I'm not dumb enough to not walk through them when those opportunities arise. So that's how I'm here now. But yes, so 16 and a half years ago, I opened my business with my general contractor's license, and I originally called it Plum Crazy Incorporated because I am really anal retentive and I need everything to be just right. or I kind of lose it. And then, but I also like to have a lot of fun and goof around. So I did change it 6 years ago to PCI Builders because too many people thought I was just a plumber because I didn't realize that nobody knew what a plumb bob was. So Plum Crazy is spelled PLUMB because when I was starting out, I was too broke to go get myself a regular bubble level like other people. And so I was using my dad's old plumb bob to set my door frames and my framing. And that's how I started.
cool
So my logo to this day is still a plumb bob.
I think that's super cool though. And Plum Crazy, all of us are kind of plum crazy right now.
Yeah.
But I thought that was super cool. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And so you've had your GC and been doing PCI since 2008, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I know that you're in the San Gabriel Valley, which is great.
I'm in Monrovia. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So sister city for Altadena, which is really good. And I was given your information by Angel Cage. She's our executive assistant pastor, I believe is her title. Sorry, Angel, if you're on here, I didn't get your title right. But, and when I was talking to them about, I have this desire, and I know this is part of my purpose. I need to have a town hall for builders because I don't think that people should wait until they say your lot is ready.
Yes,
you have to do so much more with preparation. You may have to have you'll have to have an architect, a designer, get with the builder that you resonate with. You might have to have a survey if your pins aren't already down, all kinds of stuff. There's so much. And I'm learning so much more about the processes that have to happen before day one of we're going to break ground and grade it. We're going to put a slab, all of the things that have to happen in order to rebuild these homes. So I knew they got to given me this assignment. I just didn't know how I was going to reach people. And so Kendra was the first one. Literally, I prayed the night before, God, please connect me with the people who are going to help rebuild like my parents' home or our town, right? And then in the last few weeks, it's just happened. Like everybody, me getting your number and us having a conversation, and Patrice, who was on last week, and Sal, who was on the previous week, and Kendra, who was on the previous week. And then there's another guy named Ariel Babikian, who's an Armenian in Pasadena. He's from Pasadena, like went to Marshall, and is a pastor, married, has 4 kids. One of his sons is a builder. He's an architect, but we have been speaking. And so everyone is just like, I'm getting referrals. People are like, hey, you should talk to Toni and, all of this, right? So I'm super happy that I was given your information and that we had a phone call last week and spoken that you agreed to come on because you have information that even though I'm digging and I'm researching and I'm speaking to people and I'm jumping on, Zoom calls and going to meetings, I'm not a builder. And so I don't know a lot of this stuff, the technical information and other information that you, your architect, other people on your team may be going and getting. And in speaking with you, I found out you also have another arm of your business, which is a nonprofit, and you do advocacy work. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. It actually started, as a result of the pandemic. I'm a cohort member of basically a rapid MBA program that Goldman Sachs actually ran, the 10,000 Small Businesses program, which was created as a mea culpa to the Obama administration for their hand in the recession. So they have been running an education program for small business owners ever since. And they have reached their 10,000 small business goal. So I have a really wonderful network of other small business owners. And after when the pandemic started and we were talking to our legislators, our senators, our representatives, I realized that there was just a lack of communication on what small businesses needed. Very long story short, I put a call out, and to this day, there's 5 of us who were the founding members. We meet every Monday. We have written bills. We wrote the roadmap to the second round of the PPP program that we delivered to Senator Feinstein and her staff, to then Senator Harris's staff. And when the Biden-Harris administration rolled that out, it was basically our footprint and our roadmap. Tweaked, obviously, because they're the legislators. But, I mean, it was basically what we needed, and it was fiscally already paid for. They didn't have to vote again. It was perfect. And we just started becoming, advisors to Senator Feinstein and her staff through the infrastructure bill. We've stayed very small and, behind the scenes, but sent somebody to save our TAP funding, our technical assistance program funding in the California budget. We sent our executive director last May to go before the Senate and get a bunch of signatures, and we saved the TAP funding budget. Those are just a couple of our wins. And, so we are very passionate about advocacy and protecting small businesses, our vulnerable small businesses. And so that is something I do every week as it is. And we hosted a Small Business Heroes Awards luncheon with Cal OSBA, the Office of the Small Business Advocate Director, Tara Lynn Gray. It was great. She came down here to LA in person and took her staff. It was fabulous. So we're just trying to make it right. We have goals for the year. And when this disaster happened, I have clients.
You're there.
Can you still hear me? Did I lose you?
I can hear and see you. Yes.
I'm sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yes. And
okay,
I can
great,
see you.
because I lost all audio and I don't know why.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so when the disaster happened, I have clients in Altadena. I have friends in Altadena. I worked so many years with LA County, and I understand the difficulty that will come from the rebuilding effort and the challenges. And so I just got right to work that Wednesday. I was, I had to evacuate because I had no power or electricity or internet here in Monrovia. And I just got straight to work researching, digging, and I haven't stopped since. Every day I'm trying to talk to people, learn new things, and figure out how we're going to do this in the most holistic manner, really thinking about goals.
Yeah.
This work.
That's, I think, what's so important, because we've been running, right, since that day as well, since January 7th. And it's literally nonstop. I know you emailed me late last night, and I saw that LA emailed me at 5:30 this morning, and I'll send that email back to both of you, right? But I think you emailed me like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I was still up, I think, on the phone with Brian, right? And I think by the time I hung up from all my calls, must have been 10 or 10:30, and then I set up for another hour because it was like I actually need to unwind so that I can even think about laying my head on the pillow to go to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And so that's happening to so many people, right? And everyone who's displaced, they're just constantly going. I've spoken to so many people who having not just anxiety, but have insomnia and don't sleep well. And then during the day, when they're having to do some work, they're exhausted. And so everything is just kind of topsy-turvy, upside down. And it's really important to me to have connected not only with you, but all the others, because on March 8th, I got my date, and I'll know within probably the hour. But tentatively, my Builders Town Hall, the Altadena Talks Builders Town Hall, is going to be March 8th from 11 to 2. It looks like it's going to be at my church, at Victory Bible Church in Pasadena on North Hill. So I'll send you an LA information, because I know, you were having her help me look for a location. But I spoke with my pastor and Pastor Angel this Sunday after church, and we're pretty sure it's going to be able to be there. And so all of everyone who I've brought on, and there's some other people, I have some special guests with like from the BIA, the Building Industry Association for Southern Cal, a speaker from there, another architect, Ariel, that I spoke with, and then a couple other people that are going to do a couple of 15-minute exercises that I think will be very important and impactful. And so you will be there, and I'm super excited. But one of the things that I wanted to speak with you about today, or wanted you to speak on, is, and I mentioned it last week on Tony's Talks, after having spent time with you on the phone a lot last week. Are the things that people are running into, like you said, you know LA County well, you've worked with them, and you are going to like all these meetings, you're on calls, you're on Zooms, you're on like the board meetings, and you have even more info than me, which is great, because then not only can you talk about it here, but between now and the 8th, as you get more information, you'll be able to speak to it on the 8th. But a couple things that I brought up were some of the issues, like they're calling all of these homes new builds instead of rebuilds. And we know typically in LA County, rebuilds have like one wall standing, right? Well, because of the fire, everybody has maybe a chimney standing, but the rest is ashes and rubble. So there's an issue with the county saying, oh, these are all new builds. Because yes, it's new construction, but treating it all as new builds, I don't think is the best. And so I know that that's one issue. There's another issue with the water or the pumps and the PSI, because they don't have the correct pumps yet, which is also causing delays, because if they're required to upgrade their infrastructure first, and we're hearing the governor and others say, oh, we want to see people start to rebuild in 6 to 8 weeks, but the water companies don't have this done in 6 to 8 weeks, then that's not going to happen. So that's going to be a delay potentially. And then your screen just went black, but I know you're coming right back. Allison is having some issues again, everyone, with technical, with audio. And I think
Looks like she's coming back.
Yeah. So one of the things that happened this morning, for whatever reason, her laptop would not connect to our StreamYard link. And so she's operating off of her phone. So that's why now she's probably just having some challenges, but she'll be back. Is that her? Without video?
It seems like it, but we can't hear her.
So she's trying to connect. And Allison, if you can hear us, we can wait. Not a big deal. There she's buffering. Looks like she's coming back. But a couple other things that I mentioned last week that Allison should be able to speak to, besides the pumps for the water companies, besides things being called all new builds versus rebuilds, that everyone has to have solar on their rooftops. And what was the other? I think there was one more thing that
sprinklers.
The sprinklers, which has to do with the pumps for the PSI. So yeah, the sprinklers. Now,
were they requiring them to be inside the house? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yes, but my thing is, I personally don't want one of those ugly sprinklers hanging down from my thing, right? I'd rather have it on the roof, unless there's a new design where it looks like a can light, right? And it's flush with the ceiling, and then it could, spray or whatever. And I know there's all kinds of designs, but some of the issues were just that, where people are being told, nope, when they've put their plans in to the permitting and the planning office, and they've been rejected. I know 2 people that have had that happen in the last couple of weeks.
Wow.
And so Allison is in the trenches. She talks to Senator Perez all the time. Mm-hmm. And then there's 2 senators. Who's the one who's the president of our state senate?
Don't know right offhand.
Okay, it's a lady, and then there's Senator Perez.
Chu?
Who?
Is this not Judy Chu, right?
No, Judy's our congresswoman.
Congresswoman.
Yeah, she's a representative, but she's our congresswoman for our district. But within the California State Senate, Allison is in touch constantly, if not daily. She's getting emails. She's going back and forth. She works very, very close with them, and they are bringing these points up. There's Brian and maybe Allison, but they're bringing these things up and saying, hey, you're saying these are all new builds and these are rebuilds. You're saying people have to have this. And like I said, they're going to have to do some type of modifications or adjustments to those rules.
Yep. And
that would be the Senate telling the governor that, hey, we need certain things waived. We already know he has waived the California Coastal Commission's some of the requirements for them to rebuild in Palisades. So if he's done that, then he ought to be able to also waive some of the requirements in Altadena, right?
Hopefully.
Whether it's the
Hopefully.
sprinklers or, to me, I'm good with sprinklers, right? Because if something happens, absolutely, we should have sprinklers to help. But if we don't have water in the hydrants, will we have water for the sprinklers? If we don't have the correct PSI to make those sprinklers activate because there's no pressure,
Right.
why are you adding that as a cost, right?
Absolutely.
Because I've heard the sprinklers could be another $15,000 in your budget to build.
And we have her back.
Oh,
Excellent.
yes.
Ugh.
Hi, Allison.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
I could see and hear everything, but my phone just decided like it was not playing nice anymore. I'm so sorry.
It's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. I kind of, have been talking about just some of the things, and you heard me. So if you can address those, because you've been in these meetings, you've been dealing with Senator Perez, you have emails constantly going. And then I mentioned last week something that you told me about that rapid recovery plan for the county that has been around for a couple of years, and they've just sat dormant. And
Yes.
And then what you guys are doing about that. So have the floor and speak on any of those issues, please.
Yes. Okay. So I have not been able to meet or talk directly to Senator Perez. Just want to clarify, but her comms officer, Jerome Parra, is great. We've been going back and forth. I've been making sure that constituents that need the senator's help have his information. He's super responsive. He's a superstar. And I will be meeting the Senator pro tempore, the President pro tempore of our California State Senate, Toni Atkins, on Thursday in Fresno. I'm getting an introduction to her. She has announced her bid for governor. So she'll be running for governor. And
her name is Toni?
I know. When I spoke to you, I was like, I kind of panicked for a second. I was like, am I just saying her name is Toni because I'm talking to a Toni? But no, it is Toni. My brain with names, sometimes I get nervous, but yeah, no, it is Toni Atkins. Okay. And so I'll be meeting her on Thursday. But
well,
same
I might
thing.
have to meet up with Toni eventually.
I know. And exactly. I mean, we've already been in contact with the Cal OSBA Deputy Director Claire Whitmer, as well as Director Tara Gray, who came and visited with the governor just this last week. I forgot exactly which day, and spoke to small businesses in Altadena. So that is great, because getting the governor to continue to hear direct stories is wonderful. Again, as you said about the utilities, I'm just trying to get in there and let the governor know that enforcing the solar panel part of the Title 24 is just that's not it. That's not where it's at. Yeah. If people have the opportunity and the extra money, but don't make them spend an extra $40,000 that they don't have. Yeah. Because so many of the residents are underinsured. And who knows what the prices are going to do when everyone starts building at once. So to address the utility issue, Chief Stillwagon was at LA County Rebuilds and was telling us that the three main water utilities, plus Flores, Rubio Canyon, and Lincoln, in some areas cannot meet fire flow at the street. So we won't be able to rebuild at all according to state law if the utility cannot prove fire flow, and the county has no control over that. That goes to the state. And I mean, I heard, Charles Bryant, the architect, through Victory Bible Church, he said that his water was off that afternoon. Yeah. So he's like, that's great. I'll have fire sprinklers, but will the water company turn?
Uh-oh.
Gonna need your own tank in the backyard in order to make sure you're assured to have water.
Am I back?
Yeah, exactly.
Am I back?
Yeah, you are.
You're back.
My phone literally just keeps randomly saying, access, no longer allowed for my camera and microphone.
The government trying to stop you from telling us the truth. Sorry about that.
I will flush my iPhone. It's a brand new one, by the way. I will flush it down the toilet later, but for right now, please forgive me.
No worries.
So yeah, that is a major deal. So I've been trying to find out from Rubio Canyon, and they won't even respond to me. They won't answer the calls. They won't pick up the phone.
They're not there.
Chief Stillwagon, we said to him in the meeting, and we were like, get a map. Why are we having to run around figuring out these utilities? You're the fire marshal. Like, get a map and let us know which areas are not serviceable yet so we can deal with it. So nobody knows that piece. That's a big deal.
Right.
And then everyone's meter will have to be upsized to at least a 1-inch meter, if not greater, depending on the size of the house. So be prepared. The last time I had one priced out, it was roughly $13,000, almost 14 for a new 1-inch meter.
Hey.
So be prepared for that. That's going to come out of your build, fund, your budget.
A quick question related to meters. Are there going to be requirements for digital meters versus the old one, the previous
yeah.
ones? Because I heard they're
All
fire.
new meters. All
Yeah,
new meters
all
will be
new.
digital.
I have a digital
I heard
meter
those are
just
fire
switched out
hazards.
on my house.
Okay.
Well, yeah. And so new water lines, new meters will have to be installed. If you have an ADU or a second unit, each unit, according to Rubio, and I don't know if it's the same for Los Flores and for Lincoln, but according to Rubio, each unit has to have their own separate meter and water line. So be prepared for that as well. So these are like
plan that early.
Yes, that's why I'm trying to get ahead of the curve now and check with Rubio, because I have two of my clients who live right off of Mendocino, right across the street from each other. I'm trying to get that information now. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to try to foresee as many delays as I can.
Yeah.
And get the word out. So I shared that email I sent to you that every time I have an information dump, I send it to all of my architects, engineers, any of my colleagues in the industry. Because the more we all know, the better. I'm sorry?
You sent me
the
that email
crew.
the other day.
Yeah. Yes. And so I do those about once every, oh gosh, how many weeks has it been? Once every week, once every 2 weeks, anytime I learn anything significant and new. And so then the other thing is that they dropped like a bomb on us at the LA County rebuilds was that the governor may not waive the need for the entire property to go all electrical. So no more gas at the property, which I have already been struggling with and wanted to petition the governor because you need at least a 400 amp panel if you're going to go all electric, because your tankless water heater that's all electric on its own to service 2 bathrooms and a kitchen needs at least a 180 amp panel safely, 200 amp panel to work and not kick off anything else. So if you got your electric heat pump, you've got your air conditioning, you've got your stove, which is a 220 40 amp, 60 amp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're maxed, you're done. Like 400 is barely going to cover it. And Edison flat out told me they won't do an overhead drop of 400 amps. Now, maybe that planner, that engineer, but again, I'm getting to Edison to ask them. So I had an ADU, and to get them all electric for both, we had to do a split drop, 200 amps each, to just barely make it. And they're just, and that's only because there was an ADU and they allowed a second meter. But if you don't have that, if it's just a single family property, if they're not undergrounded, how are we going to do this? And they're not undergrounding.
And they're not. And
it's a mess.
Yeah, they literally have already put up all the new poles, or still are doing it, and the lines. And so when there's no town that exists, right, you have the opportunity to trench down and put stuff underground, and instead you put up poles and lines again, then if there's that's the governor needs to know that. Like, there's no way to do it and say Altadena has to be all electric. There's just no way that's going to happen.
And it's still fire hazard. It's still a fire hazard to have overhead lines. I was there Tuesday afternoon.
Yep.
And I watched a tree fire start from a transformer while I was sitting in my client's kitchen, and I was running across the street banging on doors. And they put it out, but I was like, why is the power still on? It's 3:30. These winds are 80, 100 mile an hour gusts. This is insane. I could barely walk out there.
On the day of the fire, right?
Yep. Tuesday the 7th. I was there at 3:30 in the afternoon. Power was on. Wind was insane. And I have lived here my whole life. I've been in the high desert through Santa Ana's. I was in Monrovia when that one night before Christmas, 110 mile an hour winds some years back. That was crazy. And the transformers were popping all over the place here in Monrovia. It was like fireworks.
Yep.
Yeah. It was like fireworks.
2012 or something.
Yeah, I have a question. For some it may be minor, for some it may be major. I heard that for those who just have a chimney, if you tear that chimney down, you're not going to be able to have a chimney again.
Correct. There's no
Oh,
wood
it's
burning
okay.
allowed. Yeah, there's no wood burning allowed, has been for a while on
So-
any new construction. So if the chimney is down, it stays down. I mean, and most of them aren't structurally sound now anyway.
Right. Yeah. So
But
aesthetically, you can't just have one and not have it functional. Okay, because I know some people just from aesthetic point of view want them, but
Yeah,
that's interesting
I mean,
to know.
yeah, and honestly, it's two things, because I mean, you could build a lightweight chimney for looks if you want, and house, again, if they let us have gas, you can do a gas insert, or you can create one for looks, but it's going to most likely be an electric insert if you
Gotcha.
want some kind of fireplace. But on the bright side, at least you don't have the cost of a giant masonry fireproof chimney and firebox, and that ain't cheap. So it's
Yeah,
going to save
it's
you a
valid.
chunk not having to rebuild it. So
Valid point. Thank you.
But they could
Mhm.
put something to the stonage on the outside of the house to look like a chimney for the aesthetics. I hear what you're
Right.
saying, Jamal, because I have a chimney at my house and it's wood burning and I burn it all the time. And I love it and don't want to go to electric, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then at my parents' house, they have theirs that was always wood burning, but my mom converted it to gas years ago and
Mhm.
had the rocks and the glass and all of that. So for
Mhm.
them, and it's still standing, like powerful, strong, hey, I'm here. But if they choose that, okay, we'll take that one down and just put one in the wall that's, that's nice, that's electric, that's fine. But I know on the outside, she may still want that look, right? And so that would just be something that the builder has to say, okay, I'm going to put stones here to make it look like there's an actual, chimney.
You just
which is fine.
you just house the duct inside it, and you can build it out. It'll be mostly hollow because the duct is a dual wall duct, and you just build it out. You can cover it in stucco and stone, something decorative, but you don't need that heavy firebox anymore, right?
Mhm.
So it can come off the wall. Say if we're allowed to still have gas and do a gas insert, she can still have her glass. You can have the glowing ember look. We can still do that. But again, until we get, a final say, I know some people's gas have been restored in Altadena. That gives me a little bit of hope. But again, they're really focusing on the people whose homes survived. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And that's kind of odd if there's a house here that survived, that has some damage, but is okay. And then the next two are gone, or the next four are gone. And then there's two more that are there, because that's how it is on my mom's street, right?
Yep.
And if they turn gas onto those, then you're trying to tell everybody else they can't have gas and they could only do electric. That's insanity, because the lines are already there and the lines have gas in them.
Yeah.
And again, these are rebuilds. Nobody chose to have their house burned down. So to say that these are new builds and you have to have electric and all of that, when you can't have those 400 amp, there's no way, right?
Yeah.
And then to say you have to have all solar, I get it. If everything's electric, solar panels will help with those costs, right? But it absolutely makes no sense to say they have to have this when the infrastructure is not there. And then some people, and I said this last week, I'll say it again, can't even get solar on their roofs because of the trees. Altadena has tons of trees.
Yes.
Our lot has 2 big pines that we planted 50 years ago during Arbor Day. We've got 2 big deodoras in the back that we planted, that my other brother and sister, and then 3 oaks. And when my parents tried to get solar a few years ago, they can't get them because where the oaks are over the roof line, right?
Yeah.
And these are beautiful live oaks. One's over 100 years old. Everybody in California knows that's our state tree. You can't cut it unless a certified arborist says it's dead. So those trees survived the fire. They're not dead. You can't cut them. So how are you going to mandate that this particular house has to have solar when it cannot get it anyway? And so that's going to happen throughout Altadena, because there's lots of oaks, there's lots of other trees that survived, and people can't get solar. So somebody has to say, oh, we're going to make an exception for that in the planning department or whatever. And the governor's going to have to sign off on it. So there's so much of this, oh yeah, this is state law, we have to do A, B, C, and D. But literally we can't do A, B, C, and D for various reasons. So somebody has to be willing to say, we're going to give these exceptions, even if it's case by case, right?
Yeah,
And then
they're already giving exceptions for rebuilding on property lines. They're waiving setback rules because, again, like for like, so they've waived that. They're waiving to in proximity to protected trees, so you can rebuild even if your oak tree is right there. They're allowing, because again, in new builds, we cannot get near these trees. We can't build within 10 feet. It's a whole thing.
That's right.
So they're waiving some things, like they're waiving LID, which is the landscape and irrigation design, the whole drainage system, the water recapture. They're waiving all of that. So no civil engineering will be required if you're doing that like for like in the same footprint. 110% of,
Right.
everybody knows that part. And by the way, just as a side note, it's been bothering me because I keep forgetting to tell you every time we talk, is that I asked the county about the planning department about historic relevance. Like if it's just a house, like what kind of style, they don't care. You can completely redesign your house in any style you want. Nobody's going to, I just want, being a Monrovia resident for 20 years and seeing the moratorium that they put on building, because they were like, no, we don't want these styles. We want to keep the nature, the culture, the personality of Monrovia intact. I just want to warn everybody, though, if you do want to, do some fun, new modern style, fine, but be prepared for maybe some historic preservationists to come at you. So my clients, thankfully, are rebuilding in the natural styles, historic architecture of Altadena. So they'll be good, but it's a recommendation I'm making if you don't want to have a headache later. And honestly, it's something I believe in. I am a real big fan of maintaining the historic architecture and look of things. So I'm kind of biased, but just as an FYI.
Yeah, I think that, there's some people that want their John's cottages back, right? And they want to build them like that. But Altadena, we keep hearing, oh, it's historic this, oh, it's historic this. No, not all of it was. And there are houses in Altadena that are not on the Historic Society's, list. And so I'm an advocate for people building how they want. If they want it to be historic looking, have at it. If you have a picture of your house and you want it to be identical, have at it. If not, you want to upgrade, have at it. Do what you want. And that's what I told somebody on our Altadena community page, and somebody got upset. No, you can't. There's rules. I said, you do have a right to build exactly what you want. The county, and I know because I've been on board meetings, right? But I'm not going to argue with people. So the thing is, people can build exactly what they want, whether it's historic looking architecture or not. If you want a Spanish looking roof, you can get that, even though it might not be that same tile, because there's so many new building materials that they have it where it's fire retardant, but it looks like Spanish tile. They have it where it looks like wood shingle, but it's not wood. It's the correct material. But the fact, I'm so glad you said that, because that should take anxiety or pressure off a lot of people, because we're hearing in the Altadena community pages, oh, you have to build it to look the exact same we want. No, if that's what you want, you do that. If your neighbor doesn't want that, leave them alone and let them do what they want. And so I'm super glad that you've confirmed that, because people need to hear and know that.
They do. I mean, my one client is going from a Tudor style to a Spanish style. And, again, I'm just glad to hear that, because I know that she will be safe. She won't have anybody like bothering her about it. But the word does need to get out that if you are not a historic landmark, and when you are, if you have a home with historic significance, I mean, here in Monrovia, if your home is 50 years old, they call it historic significance.
Exactly.
Big difference. So it's a big difference. So it just, in Altadena, though, you are free to do whatever you want, as long as it's within that 110% footprint and height. Yeah. And I might be going a little too deep on the detail, but something that's been really bothering me is that if you had a flat roof Spanish style with a parapet wall, your home is shorter than your neighbor with a pitched roof. And that height standard, if you want to change it now, makes me nervous, because if you had a shorter home at only, say, 13 feet with your parapet wall, and, if you want to go to pitched roof, the standard in the area is 16 feet, whatever. Can you do it? Can you switch to pitched roof? So I haven't been able to get an answer to that. That, to me, I know that's the way my brain works. Because I was like, what if that's what you've got? Are they gonna,
would that fall within that 10% or the, you know, or no, we don't know.
No.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
for
when my flat roof client was like, no, we're going to rebuild exactly the way it was, I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about that. But the next person I see that had a flat roof with the parapet wall, you know what I'm saying? You don't have that pitched roof. That pitch is significantly taller than your neighbor's parapet wall. So I'm wondering if there's leniency on that. Just, it's making me
might be limitations.
It might be something that you have to consider. You may have to go a little bit longer in the plan check. It may not be as streamlined, but these are the things I have been thinking of and posing to the county, posing to planning department, posing to building and safety ahead of time to see if we can't solve those now so that you're not stuck going, oh, great, I just got stuck in plan check for 2 more months because I wanted to switch to a pitched roof. Even, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. Those are the things I'm trying to figure out all the time.
These are the important things that a layman like me or Jamal or Ryan don't know, right? Which is why I'm having this builders town hall, because we hear, all 3 of us and everybody, we're hearing this and that and this. And because we're not builders, we don't know the real in the trenches, nitty gritty stuff that you all know. And it's important that everyone in Altadena who can hear this and ask questions directly from you all, because it makes more sense to me now why they say 18 months at a minimum before we are back or begin to come back. And then to hear, and I know that the politicians are going to say, oh, we want you all back within 2 years. We want to start building in 6 to 8 weeks. But when they don't know, and they haven't made determinations on so much stuff, I don't even see plans and permits being issued in 6 to 8 weeks, let alone somebody starting to build.
No,
and if they say, 18 months, now it makes sense. And it takes a lot of anxiety out of it for people if they are thinking, oh, in 6 months I could start rebuilding. But if we don't know about water, if it's back, if we don't know about the sprinklers, if there hasn't been a full, whoever's going to, those powers that be decide, the decision hasn't been made about the solar, that may take 6 months in itself.
I know. And we still don't have building and safety guidelines, right? So we've got the planning department who has agreed on the like-for-like rebuild to completely avoid zoning, because they're just, as long as it's like-for-like, you don't have to worry about the zoning. You just go straight to planning.
And wait a minute. Can you explain, because I've been telling people what my understanding of like-for-like is, which is the footprint, not necessarily the identical house, the identical look, the identical layout, but the footprint plus that 10%. So can you, from a builder's perspective, explain to people who are on here today exactly what like-for-like means? Because I think there's some gray area for people.
Yes. And there has been some misinformation from the get-go that I actually, at the LA County rebuilds, I asked I guess he was the planning director, what if there's one of the planners had told me over the phone that to utilize that extra 10% for that 110% of the footprint, you need a reason. You need to show that your structural walls need to be thicker. And so you're, to keep the same habitable square footage. Some of these old homes were framed with their interior walls by 2x3s. So now when we use 2x4s, it's going to, take up some room. So I had all of these scenarios in my head to use as the narrative. And so when I raised my hand to confirm, he goes, no, that is incorrect. You don't need a reason. Just use it. Get that walk-in closet, get that ensuite extra bathroom. Do what you got to do, so same thing. My client's house was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath with a huge living room and a huge family room. I'm just going to use that space better. She's going to get a 3-bedroom, 2 bath with an office. And that's how we're going to figure it out. We're going to make that work and within that 110%. And I can throw all those narratives right out the window. And again, if your detached garage was right on the property line, you can put it right back. They're not going to force you to utilize the new setbacks, whether that's 10 feet, 15 feet, whatever you're zoning. So that's good. And again, you can design in any layout you want inside, again, within 110% of the size, in the same footprint, and, height wise as well. And just be mindful where you put that 10%. Don't encroach on a setback on your side. Try not to build out front too far beyond the old setback, because that's when you'll run into problems. So try to move interior towards your back, towards your larger lot side. So things like that. But I do with that, because you had mentioned, and I did forget to bring it up. You asked me to. When this first happened on Wednesday the 8th, January the 8th, when I said I sat down and started digging, I found that there was a rapid rebuild ordinance, a disaster recovery rapid rebuild ordinance in LA County, adopted by the Board of Supervisors May of 2023. And because of the result of like the Woolsey fire, etc., we shouldn't be doing this right now. This should have been figured out over the last 2 years. I don't know why LA County Planning, LA County Building and Safety did not get on this. So when I walked myself right on into the Arcadia LA County Building and Safety and Planning, and I was like, hey, what about this ordinance? What about this rapid rebuild? And he just kept yelling, we're in response mode. We're in response mode. And I said, but response for 2 years? This is a 2-year-old ordinance. And he panicked. He had never even heard of it. So and he just referred me to, and I'm not trying to get a bunch of people in trouble, but this is an issue. This is a big issue that, they didn't prepare. They should have. Right. So building and safety, as I was saying, the planning department has their guidance, right? We know what we just talked about. Footprint, 110%, like for like. Fire department has their plan in place. And we know what their streamlined process is. But building and safety, again, until we get direct answers on solar panels, on whether we can have gas, whether is building and safety going to require all of the cross sections and the detailed structural engineering and all of the things called out for the plan checker, or is it going to be something that the inspector will verify in the field? So a lot of the responsibility we put on the inspector, which often happens in disasters, to speed up the rebuild process and the plan check process. We don't know. So how long is that going to take? We don't know. That could be the 18 months that we're looking at. When is that going to all be decided?
And who brought that up just now, Brian or Jamal? That's so awesome.
That would be Jamal.
Jamal, yeah. He found the disaster recovery ordinance that you're speaking of from 2023, but doesn't look like much has been done or anything. No. Yeah. And so that basically means they are figuring it out as they go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thoughts, Jamal? I see your brain
churning.
You're on mute.
You're muted, brother.
I was just gonna slightly switch gears in terms of my question, and this is something that I usually ask each of the builders that actually come on, and it's really, well, 2 questions. One of which is, do you have a one-stop shop? Meaning, if someone wants to start the process, can you provide the architects and architecture? The ideas, can you get the blueprints and all that kind of stuff taken care of, or the sketch, and then all the way through? And then what is the basic process to work with you?
Yes, we are a design build firm, so
Nice.
We soup nuts everything. So we do the help with the research, getting old permits, assessors, plans, anything we need to do, surveys. I'm trying to figure out how to work out batch surveys for blocks that burnt down, because once your neighbor got a survey, now half your survey's done. It's the same property line share. But yeah, everything. Interior design, finishes, samples. I've got a ton of tile samples and cabinet samples. I literally bring it right to you. And, so yes, it's an entire full service. And I basically just hold your hand through the whole thing. I'm a small company, I will do my best to, try to handle capacity and increase capacity. But this again is why it's so important for your idea, Tony, which I had thought, is it possible? It had been like a seed of an idea in my head. Can we get a cooperative of builders together so that we can help each other? We can share resources. I know I'm not going to be able to handle a lot of builds, but prefer. And can you hear me? Is that, did I do it again?
Yeah, you're back.
You're here.
Okay. But I
They don't want you to say it.
At capacity. Yeah. If I'm at capacity and I just can't take on anymore, I need to know who has capacity. And we can help each other. Like, hey, do you guys have an available roofer right now? I need this, I need that. So we can work with each other to give our clients and the community of Altadena the best shot and the best experience in a horrible, life-altering disaster that is unimaginable to me. Unimaginable.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time crying in our office and waiting to hear about our clients, waiting to hear about our friends. I can't imagine what you all are going through who have lost your homes, and my heart is absolutely with you. We're going to do the best we can, and alone I can't do as much as I can as when I have a community of other builders, a community of other advocates. So I am sharing every piece of information I get. I go in deep. I get conversations. I have the most random conversations with people to just, as the president of the National Small Business Advocacy Council, I am using those resources, anything at my disposal, to get in and plant seeds of ideas, like using common aid agreements between the LA County and, say, Monrovia for plan checkers and inspectors in the field. Why are we trying to onboard and hire and train all these people and all these different consultants that have already been causing problems before the disaster? Mm-hmm. Let's use local people that understand the community, and oftentimes they've already worked, they transfer around. So I've been planting seeds at LA County HR. I've been planting seeds, at the LA County rebuilds. Just, again, these are good ideas. And the more people are like, oh, this is the more I'm hoping it'll matriculate upwards to the powers that be. But I'm going to keep trying to get access. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely you're part of our group. I've brought, 4 people on, you guys? Yeah, there's 4 of us, 4 that have come on so far. There's 5 to 6 of you who will be at the Builders Town Hall on the 8th. But I was even speaking to a friend of mine this morning, and he was like, oh, I have a builder for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't believe this is going to be the last town hall. It'll be the first. Even if we do something monthly, I don't know if my church is going to allow that or if I'm going to have to get a new location, but we'll figure that out too. But what I want to do is all those that continue to be referred to us, I will do the same, call, vet them, we'll have meetings, whatever. And maybe next month I have another 5 or 6 and then with all of you prior to the town hall next weekend, I'm going to have this Zoom meeting, if not the end of this week, early next week, maybe Tuesday, where all of you get to say, hey, this is who I am. Because as I talk to each of you, everybody's like, oh, I want to work with this person. Oh, can you put me with that person? And that's our goal, is to bring people together, especially the builders, for our community, as we bring them together in the form like we're here, but at this town hall, right? And then from that initial one, we'll have a few realtors that have told me they wanted to come because they want to be able to help people, not for selling lots, but if they're still looking for rentals, right? Because, we're not for sale, right? But obviously there will be people that have to sell, and we give them grace because we don't know situations. Yeah. But that may help. I know some people that are mortgage brokers, right? And so if somebody has to take out a mortgage to help rebuild, or who knows what, right? But this one is specifically focused more on the builders to get you all in front of people. Granted, you have your businesses, you'll have referrals, but if we have 200 plus people there who don't know anyone yet, and they see you here and they see you at that, and they resonate with any of you, or maybe they resonate with 2 of you, and meet with you afterwards and say, is there something we can all do together, right? We want to make sure that we are presenting that to our community where we are from, and bringing the right people in, because we have been approached by some people that are absolutely a no. And so we want to make sure that we have the right people to present. And so that's why we're bringing you on here. We're bringing you to the town hall and doing as much as we can to help us get to the place where we can start rebuilding and get our town back, because it is such a unique, special place, just like Monrovia. The difference is Monrovia is a fully incorporated city.
Yeah.
You know, we're not, but very similar, and I've lived in both. But
yeah, and that's, you know, I was just talking to a documentarian who lost his home in Altadena, which I want to talk to you about off this, and to, you know, to see if you're interested in being interviewed. Because he's just looking for stories. You know, here in Monrovia, we lost our power at 2:30, and Edison was very diligent here in Monrovia to make sure that we were safe in the winds. Because again, those transformers will be popping off if they're not. And so, you know, to know that I lost power here in Monrovia hours before the power started getting shut off in Altadena. And I honestly, my gut feeling is the fact, did I say it again? Altadena.
Oh yeah, I corrected you last week on that, huh?
Yeah, you did.
So you guys were on the phone, and she said Altadena, and I said, hold up. Let me tell you right now, we are Altadena, not Altadena.
Okay, yes. And I told her I'm also that annoying person who says Alhambra, and everyone gets so irritated at me.
Yeah,
and I tried so hard. I know. It was because the phonetics. My mom immigrated and taught us how to read out of the McDuffie readers, which are the old prairie like English books. So as a child growing up, everyone's like, "What country are you from?" Because I was saying Sean. I still say my aunt and not my aunt. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, it's annoying, but I apologize. I'm working on it really hard.
I say auntie.
All right.
I say my aunt Diane, my aunt so and so. It's a combination of both.
Yeah, I go both ways.
Well, I got two ways of saying grandma. If you're nice, I call you grandma. If you mean, I call you granny.
Oh, and see, mine was always Granny from my grandmother, and she was the absolute joy of the world.
Grannies are usually mean. That's your granny.
And then look, hey, speaking of that, then Jamal has a mother who was everybody's English teacher at our high school.
And mama. You know you ain't supposed to be doing that, boy. Get to class.
We all have Miss Smith.
That's why I never got in trouble.
Exactly.
At my damn school.
She gave me a ride to school every day. I couldn't make her look bad.
Right.
I had to go to class.
Loved and respected her in school too, and you knew better because she was not going to play with you. She was that teacher who was also the auntie, right? That you knew better.
Or mom, because so many people called her mom.
Exactly, and you knew you did not cut up because she would check you, pull you to the side, whatever. So there were certain ones
like Nettie,
Nettie, Miss Gilchrist,
Miss Smith,
Mr. Vaughn.
Mr. Vaughn. Yeah.
All of them is like grandma. They will paddle you. Tell your mama, and she gonna paddle you.
They will snatch you up quick.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
No, but to attest to what you were saying, Allison, I was at Olive Garden in Arcadia. Oh, yeah. So we experienced power outage at the same time because when the power went out in Olive Garden, that we couldn't use our credit card. So I went out to the car to get some money out of the car, and that's when I saw the first transformer blow. Yeah. And I was going back home. You know how you go up Santa Anita, across Orange Grove, and then go up Michelinda? Couldn't go up Michelinda. It was crowded. Went through Land Fair, went up Hastings Ranch Road, turned left on Sierra Madre, was going to turn right on New York, but police had already blocked that off, and you could see the fire starting in the back of Eden Canyon. That's when I filmed it. So that's when I first saw it. Now, nobody on the east side knew that the fire was coming because when I got over there, I already knew the fire was coming because I was driving away from it. And we get up there. Oh, I was from the west side. Nobody knew on the east side. Okay. No, excuse me. Knew on the west side. They knew on the east side. I was coming from the east side. Right. I always get drunk.
That's all right.
So get up on Fair Oaks and Palm and go over to Sherry's mom's house. And she was like, I'm getting in my bed. I'm not leaving. I said, you won't be here tomorrow if you get in that bed. So she got out the house, came back the next morning. And when I got off the freeway at Windsor at 9 a.m., it looked like it was midnight. That's how much smoke was there. And I was driving through it, and you could just see Fire Armageddon going down Altadena Drive. It was fires over here. Embers being blown across the street, and one guy sitting there stopping. I'm like, your tire's going to melt, bro. But, you do you.
Keep pushing, bro.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was known out there by you first.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to the services, the direct city services that we are lucky enough to have here in Monrovia. Our fire department, our city manager, they don't mess around with Edison. They do not play with them. And, I think that's really what it comes down to, is that our fire captain, our chief, was like, cut it now. And, the city manager was sending emails out like every couple hours to the entire community of Monrovia with updates, with, direct communication with Edison. And so I just think that mattered here in Monrovia. And so
sounds like it definitely did.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what happens when it's all investigated. How Edison did not turn off the power, how, evacuation notices weren't given on the west side of Lake Avenue.
How we keep forgetting about Southern California Gas and how they didn't turn their stuff off. I'm believing that once the appliances melted down, the gas line was free to keep the fire going.
It was open for 2-3 days. And I know people that went up to turn theirs off.
Yeah.
But the gas lines were fully operational. They didn't turn it off and cut all the gas.
Several of my cousins actually did that in their neighborhood. They went to their homes
with the big wrench and turned them off.
And the neighbors' homes to turn off the gas.
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned them yet. I mean, they should be on the spotlight as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was saying,
so that would be Edison, because up in my mother's house where my brother, my daughter, and my nephew were, they got there 8 o'clock. Power was still on until 9 p.m. My parents' house was gone by like 2:30 in the morning on the 8th. But the power was still on at 9 p.m. across the street from my sister, where the fire started, and she looked out her window and saw it and went and knocked on all the doors. We gotta go, because at the bottom of that tower, after the transformer blew, there was the fire. That was at 6:32. So from 6:32 to 9 p.m., you still haven't cut off all the power, and you see it going up and around Rubio and all that, and the power is still on at the top of Lake.
Hilarious. Yeah, go ahead.
And then, like you said, the gas. So that's 1, 2. And then dead hydrants with no water. That's on LA County. And what's the fourth thing? The alerts. Brian said he got alerts, I think, but
I got alerts in Arcadia.
Oh, okay.
That's why I rushed back home. Nobody had gotten an alert. That's why she didn't believe us when we said, you got to go. The fire's coming this way. No, we always have fires. I'm like, okay.
But it wasn't just on the west side, because my parents and my sister live on the east side. They didn't get alerts either.
Right. But then at that point, the power probably to the towers were probably down. Now, how the power is still down for the towers, but not down to keep the fires going at the houses.
And then you're saying, oh no, we couldn't turn it off too early because then it'll arc and spark a fire. Well, duh, it was going to do that anyway.
It was doing that anyway.
So it's going to spark a fire. So yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans going on, and the answer is, I don't know if we'll ever know the full truth, but there's a lot of people on the hook.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I didn't realize that the gas company didn't. I mean, I just thought in my head that, of course, turn off the gas. That's like a literal explosion.
Turn off everything. Where's the alarms that show that there's a gas spike?
That's crazy.
Don't you have like regulations on how? I mean, you bill everybody according to their meters. Don't you have isn't this digital?
We have to put earthquake shutoffs on everybody's, gas line.
Yeah,
but like, why is there not like a heat sensor? I mean, anything, even like at the site, but also they know.
Did you tell how much gas is coming out of the pipe? I mean, don't you see that there's a spark and like there's an overload of gas that's going to this area?
Yeah. And also the fact that they explode because it can get back in. The fire can rush back.
Well, I think that's what happened. Now, when we went up to see our property, we did a walkthrough with National Geographic, and I said, "What is that?" And I see the whole gas line is bent over and melted, and you could see the tip of it at the end was open, and you could see because the wall's no longer there. Right. So it's exposed all the way back to the gas meter. And I go, oh, that's what that's piping is all over the place. I mean, it goes everywhere. It goes to the kitchen, the
Yeah.
bathrooms,
Ah.
it goes through all there. So once it opens up on one end and that wind's blowing, it's just going to blow all that flame back into the house. So you can see how the house just burned this way.
Oh
Crazy.
my gosh.
So we'll have to, obviously not me or us, but yeah, there will be investigations. Obviously, the biggest culprit is Edison, right? But with new meters, with new gas lines or electrical lines or water or whatever, like you said, there's shutoffs, and it needs to be remote, because I do understand. I have a cousin who's, my brother's a CAL FIRE chief, but my cousin is a fire captain in Eaton Canyon at the Kilauea. When you walk up, well, you drive up, he's a fire captain there. And he was telling my sister about how they have where you can turn the pumps on and off remotely. I'll just leave it at that.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I'll just leave it at that. Exactly. So if they have that ability for pumps for water, how come we don't have it for gas? How come we don't have it for electric? How come we not pushing it to these hydrants that were dead and had no water? I'll just leave that sitting there.
Wow.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff we going through, people. A lot of stuff. And it's not going to be over for 2 years.
But the biggest culprit for sure is Edison, because they knew a week in advance, because everybody talked about this forecast. And these weren't our regular Santa Anas. First of all, Santa Anas are in the fall. October, November, September through November is generally Santa Anas. This kind of foolishness, I think, has to do with global warming, climate change, all of that, because it was January. And even our Santa Anas that, remember, we used to walk to school and they'd blow us up the hill or down the hill, or I'd be walking up the mountain and you're walking against the wind. But there were 30, 40 miles. They weren't 80. They wouldn't blow you down. This foolishness, 80, 90, 100 miles an hour, was something else. And they weren't our typical Santa Anas September through November. And but either way, the forecast was out there, at least a week to 10 days, that this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. Edison should have been more prepared, no doubt, that we have to shut this stuff off early. And that morning, the winds were already blowing quite a bit. So by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, when you were in Altadena doing your thing with your client and you saw a fire across the street at a tree, those lines should have all been deactivated. And I don't care how mad people get that their power is off for a day, for 2, for 3. All the people in the San Gabriel Valley that are complaining, Monrovia, Azusa, still were like, oh, we lost power for 2 days. People lost whole houses and lives that they've been in forever, 50, 60 years, 70 years, and 17, 18, 24, however many lives. So you'll be all right. I don't care if you went to Costco that day and bought $200 worth of groceries. You'll be all right. You still have your house. You still have your power back on later or whatever. So yes, they have to tend with people being upset, but now you have all of this and you should have had your preventative measures in place, and they did not. And so Edison definitely has the answer. And yes, they could try to shift blame to others, but at the end of the day, their transformer blowing, those electrified lines sparked the fire, and then other factors may have made it larger, right? Or mitigated it, or didn't mitigate it, but increased it. But at the end of the day, everybody knows what happened. Brian saw it. My sister saw it. People right there in Eaton Canyon immediately filmed it. They saw, because it was at their houses or on that route home. And so they know they're going to be on the hook for it regardless. And so, yeah, everybody will find out, and there'll be litigation for who knows who. But the biggest culprit is Edison, no doubt.
Yeah.
And they can't say they didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, keep tuning in, folks. We're going to get to the bottom of it.
So it's 11:17. We usually go hour and a half. This is normal for us. Is there anything else? Because I don't want you to give all the secrets or all the info away. And I know you will get more between now and on the 8th. But is there anything else, Brian or Jamal, that you want to ask Allison, or Allison that you want to say that's important that you think we need to know prior to like us closing out?
I mean, we're just glad you brought the information that we needed to know, and the audience was happy about it. We got a few comments. There's the last one. Yep, so crazy. Thank you, Carol Flores. We always like when people participate because we're not the only ones asking the questions. It's you, the audience, that we bring these people on so you can ask the questions that they've been hitting you in the back of your head, like, should I ask her about the gas lines?
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. You know, so yes, thank you for coming on and dropping the knowledge that we need, because you know that's why we do this show, because we're trying to give Altadena what they need and sorts of resources, advice, you know, vetted information, stuff like that.
Yes. I echo what Brian said, and I think that today's episode actually brought a unique perspective in that you were sharing conversations that happen behind the scenes, you know, with other builders, with direct conversations with our government and, you know, regulators and other departments involved in the bill process. So I really appreciate that, because you got me thinking about stuff I hadn't thought about before, in particular with the roof, for example, you know, going from flat to pitch. I didn't even know there could have been an issue. So those things that you're bringing to our now or to the forefront are very helpful for all of us.
Yes, and you're very welcome. And anything that you all can think of, that your listeners think of, that I haven't thought of, that you want me to ask, to dig up, to find, in any of my meetings, let me know. I am open for more suggestions. I'm just, one person, and I'm trying to listen to as many voices as I can to make sure I'm seeing this thing from all angles. And as I have my meetings, up north, in Fresno, and meet people, anything I can do. I'm supposed to meet the Secretary of Housing soon. Anything we can all think of, please let me know, and I will disseminate the information back to Tony and let you all know, because again, the goal is for us to get back as fast as we can and better than before. So, yeah.
And related to that, and I'm sure Tony has questioned or asked you this already, hopefully you'll come back on with us, and this won't be the only time that we get to see and talk to you. We'd love to have you back again.
For sure. And I saw that comment from the Altadena Chamber of Commerce, and actually you're on our list to be reaching out to soon. So I if you want to reach out to me, please do. So if you're the point of contact, let me know. I think I saw Brian was his name.
No, it was Elaine.
That was me popping it up for Elaine.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, y'all, this is the part of the show where we go and talk to our people who are looking at us live from Instagram. We got Scott Sutton, Air Frank, Elaine, of course, Mosan Moore, Jazz Bo, Lizzie H, and Arcadio Aguayo, one of my good friends that lives in Duarte. Well, not anymore, but that's where I met him. And that's it.
Don't look, we're not just cutting it off.
No, that's it for the now.
Or having dead air. No, so yeah, definitely thank you. And I know you said you'll get me information, definitely, and we can share it here. And then, as Jamal said, and no, I hadn't asked her, but we'll talk later today anyway, Allison. But yeah, we'll definitely have you back on. And everyone save the date. Next week, Saturday, March the 8th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are going to have this Builders Town Hall. Altadena Talks is presenting a Builders Town Hall. Tentatively, and I will be making a call shortly, it's going to be at Victory Bible Church on North Hill, 1497 North Hill. I have the flyer, but I'm waiting on a couple more confirmations and the okay today from Victory. If so, we will be putting that flyer later today on our Altadena Talks page on Facebook. We will also post it in our events on our AltadenaTalks.com website. And we will share it here every day as we lead up to it. We are asking, once we do it, and we'll put the QR code or the bit.ly link to have people register. It is a free registration. We're doing it for Eventbrite, just so that I know how much water to get, how much if I do sandwiches or fruit or things like that. So there will be no charge, but I don't want to get stuff and not know how much to get, and have somebody come and maybe not. And if I have any type of materials, if any of these builders want to run, anything to leave with people or bring brochures, I want to make sure that we have enough. So we will have a link that people can register, but it's no cost and it's just for that reason. But we will have a lot of that as of tomorrow or later this afternoon, but most likely tomorrow. And that's all I have from.
That's all, folks.
Well, I'm gonna bring up the banner again.
Bring up the banner.
Make sure that we thank Allison.
And that's Allison's website.
Yes.
So thank you for putting that back up.
Yeah, I just added it to the banner, and then I'm just gonna show what it kind of looks like, at least the home page, real quick, just so folks can see it. If I can get my screen to share, come on.
Get your screen to share.
There we go. It's a very. Go ahead.
Go. I'm sorry.
I was just saying it was a very, very nice looking website. There's a lot of stuff you can see.
You can see that plumb bob. It's still my logo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, right there.
Right.
Yep.
Gotta make sure everything is right on point.
It's like everything, so you can have it digital now. You don't even have to have the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
I used to take those plumb bobs and dip them in ink and then make them draw on paper in a circle.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cool.
That was like a art project.
Remember Etch-a-Sketch and all that stuff you used to do with the pencil and make that circular design?
You can get those again. They're back in stores.
Yeah.
I need a light bright.
The light brights too. And the battleship and all those neat things
You
we had
sunk
growing
my
up.
battleship.
You sunk my. We need to
Hey, at the game night, they bring these little mini, looks like a Pac-Man machine, but it's real small.
I used
Yeah.
to
And
have
you
one
can
of
play
those.
Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug on it.
all of it.
I used to have the one that was
we need
only
to do an
about this
arcade
big.
somewhere with all this stuff. When we build out to in the back.
Yeah, we need a whole new event area.
Exactly.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Allison, for coming on. I think that wraps it up. We made it 11:25. Any Jamal?
Look,
Brand?
Mama, we made it.
We made it. I don't have
good.
anything.
Just want to thank everybody for showing up for our 30th episode. Can you believe we did 30 of these things, man?
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, that's
Oh, and today is exactly 7 weeks
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
since the fire
Tuesday.
happened. If you count it, that way.
Yeah,
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday,
7
yeah.
weeks.
It's Tuesday night. Everything was great at this time, but then 8 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that's crazy.
That's all right. We'll be back.
Our lives.
Thank you,
were-
sir. Appreciate it. We thank you guys, the audience, because without you guys, okay, just to show you right now, I'm going to look at the numbers.
And it's up to you, Allison, if you want to stick around and see this part.
I will. Congrats.
Excellent.
Just
Love
to
to hear
tell you that we have, while you're on here, 332 views, 352 views.
Nice.
See, Allison, you got some people coming out listening to what you got to say. We're not playing.
And I always like to say that all of this is organic. We don't advertise. We
No,
don't
not at
do
all.
any Facebook ads. We don't do any of that stuff. We just share it as we go along and tell some people, throughout the day, hey, we do a podcast. We're sharing intel. Check us out every day, 10 a.m.
And most of our people watching are from Altadena anyway, because
Yeah.
this podcast is for them, for us.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have anybody keeping the news up to date, doing anything, and we just decided, let's just do this. And audience, you tell us, is it worth us to come on Monday through Friday at 10 to talk to y'all, waste y'all time with good information? Just let me know. I mean, that's the reason why I do the comedy part of it, so I can keep you riveted until the guest comes on,
Because he's Brian and you're not.
Exactly. That part.
You don't want to be me anyway.
Let me say
You
this
won't get
to
any sleep.
Yeah, Brian is no sleep. Let me say this to you, Brian. Thank you so much for starting this, because I didn't think 3 weeks ago I'd be a co-host of a podcast, obviously, right? But I was just getting the information. All of us were running in our own way. This was therapy for Brian. My therapy was, I got to make sure my sister and my parents are good because they're lost their places. I got to get all the information. I have to vet it. I have to post it. So I was running that way. And Brian was like, oh, Tony's dropping like real deal stuff.
I was sharing everything she said. I didn't have no information to share yet. This was before the podcast.
That's all he would tell me. Is like, man, Tony gave me this
she over there
information,
giving me all kind of stuff. I said
Because
tomorrow. I said, let's get her on our show before somebody else snatch her up. Shoot, we don't need no problems over here.
And so I came on just like you, Allison, like 3 weeks ago or something. And all of a sudden it's Toni Talks. And I'm co-hosting with them, which I'm glad to. These are my Altadena brothers. We all went to the same high school. You know, everybody grew up together. And I'm super honored to be a part of this because we're doing this for our community. This is how we are able to serve, right?
Shut up, Corey. Somebody ask you, look, you be coming over here with your outer space background, look like you floating in the. I'm out of here. She be like Homer Simpson. She be like,
when he fades into the bushes.
Right.
Next time I'll do a virtual background of bushes that I can disappear into.
Okay. So thank you, Brian, for starting it as part of your therapy. We couldn't do this without what you started. We couldn't do it without Jamal. It was the two of you at first. And it's funny because Brian and I were talking, and the three of us are all in our own niche, right? And we're good at what we do. And so, and it's just because of this is who we are, whether it's professionally or our personalities or whatever. But like Jamal had to give me, look, and I'm gonna say it last week, and I hope I did better today.
Not anymore.
No, last week somebody came on, I had somebody on, and people were asking questions, and I was answering them. So afterwards, we do this debrief. Jamal was like, Tony, I'm gonna need you to let the person that your guest answer the questions. I was like, oh, sorry.
Because they sitting there like this.
Right. I was like, she was sitting there, but some of it she was like, yeah, you're right. And then she told us, like, I didn't know that answer anyway. But I think it's because I'm just out there like you are, Allison, doing so much that it's like, oh, I know that answer, right? But why have a guest come on who may know it better if I'm gonna answer it? And so Jamal told me that, and I was like, oh, okay, thanks. But I appreciate that feedback, because if not, I don't want it to be the Toni Talk show who's bringing on guests and I'm talking and running my mouth, and the guests who are
you be like, move out the way. Look,
right.
She be like that.
Not at all, right? But that's the beauty of our show, right? We talk to each other like that. We'll say it afterwards. Okay, cool. I got feedback, just like I got it. Zaire was like, Tony, check your text, read your text. So I read it, and he redirected me, and I helped redirect.
But that's the beautiful thing about the audience participating and bringing the answers, because sometimes, like E-Dub was killing me yesterday. But this is what we do. You know, I mean, everybody was killing me. But, you know, the whole thing is, if we make a mistake and slip, we're here to be corrected.
Yeah,
you know,
and it's our
I don't
show.
know that much about debris removal, but, you know, E-Dub does. So he gave me the right direction to go. And I am not above being corrected.
Exactly.
But I will kick you off the show real quick.
But no, and that's what it is. It's our community. This is our show for our community. So we're super appreciative you came on with the amazing knowledge that you have and all the things that you are doing. And, you know, we need you. So you're forever part of the team. And when we are able to bring you back and you have more, cool. And that's, to me, bring everybody together. Doing this is a collaborative effort that we're going to keep bringing more builders. I have some people that are like, I'm not a builder. I'm a general contractor, but you give me the plans, I will go out there and be boots on the ground and build it. Right. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Cause we're going to need you. Right. Yeah. We're going to need all the bodies. And then, like I told you, Allison, and we'll put this up in the next few days too, and have this at the town hall. I need people to start signing up for Altadenians for Altadena. That's what I'm calling it right now. It's sort of like Habitat for Humanity. But I want to see all of my neighbors, all of my Altadena neighbors, meaning the whole town, out there when builders, permits, everything is ready and able to have the bodies on the ground, boots on the ground, so that when that builder says, we're going to frame this house, we're going to start today, we can either get that whole house framed or the majority of it, where their crew might take a whole week to do it, right? That's how we help speed the process up to get people back in their homes. So we need to keep putting that link out there and have people sign up, because every builder I've talked to is like, yes, if we had the bodies, we could do this quicker, right? And then now we know there's a shortage of construction workers, and there are individuals who would do this who are being deported. And so the bodies may not be there to do it. So if we're all there, thousands of us, right? Hundreds of us, whatever, we can all do this and help our community. So these are just the things that, you know, go through our brains and we think about.
Yep. We're very concerned about workforce availability as well. And that's another conversation I'll be having at the state level is workforce. And I mean, I'm literally learning how to write my first work visas and, you know, see if I can help people come to be here and, you know, figure out a way. And I was talking to OSHA, I was talking to, they had actually at LA County Rebuilds, they were having a segment on, you know, how to help like protect and what to do if ICE comes by, how we can actually stand firm, know our rights, and protect our workforce. It's
wow,
something
that's
I'm
so
very
important.
concerned about. Yeah, it's a whole other topic that is going to be needed to be addressed from an employer and builder, you know, and contractor standpoint, and that's another thing, you know. Yeah.
Which is horrible that we even have to discuss it or think about it, but that's where we are right now. So
yes, we are.
So that's another reason we need to make sure we have all the volunteers, because if we don't have those people that are able to be picked up to come work on a job site, but all of us that are from the area can do it, then yeah, we just have to help each other out however we can.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Well, 379 views, 38 comments, and 12 shares. We getting up there. Thank you, Altadena and his constituents, for sharing our podcast to the nations. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Marcus.
And, Marcus, we need to bring you back on the show because you were going through the insurance policy process, and we need that. We need to get that update.
And that phase 1, phase 2 thing, because his was part of the purple on that legend where they deferred to do phase 1 and 2 at the same time. Got to catch that up. And I think he's in the process of working with a builder or something to that effect. So we just an update from everything, from everybody. I want to shout out my boy Victor Salgado from Soul Roots. He printed up this hat. B has one too, but I didn't get a chance to get it to him. Dina Strong, I'm going to rap to him about getting the TONI Talks one as well. But, man, thank you, Vic, my boy.
Appreciate you, brother.
TONI Talks.
Yes, yes.
We need our
Appreciate
TONI
you,
Talks
brother.
and TONI Talks.
Mm-hmm. You said white?
White with the purple TONI Talks.
Gotcha.
The boots with the fur.
And I have some of those, a couple pair. Y'all know I'm like super prissy, bougie, whatever, right? Anyway, thank you, Allison. And I think we're wrapping up, right, guys?
I just got one more shout out to do. I got Jane Reese Wilkins and Connie Bass. That's a mother-daughter team who have always shot me emails of information. Thank you to these two ladies. Keep them coming. We really appreciate you both. Thank you for tuning in on Instagram.
Real talk.
And I think that's it.
Toodles, everybody.
Yes,
Oh,
thank
All
you.
right, y'all. We're going to go get some lunch. We're going to have to do appreciation lunch or something for all the people, you know, that be coming on, checking out our show and stuff. So
They will definitely get some lunch and be appreciated at the town hall as well.
And so come get your fruit cups. Stop playing. We're all about that nutrition. Get you some Bailey ice cream with the wooden spoon. Remember that in elementary school?
Yes.
The good times, boy, I'm telling you.
Said alien ice cream. Yeah, I was afraid the Alien Mansion was going to be going up.
Yeah, me too. We need them to bring Christmas back, man. I'm tired of them playing around with us.
I know, huh?
And that's traditions. You drive up Christmas Tree Lane, then you turn on It was the Mariposa Mendocino. You go all the way out. You see the lights. You see that. Then you go to Hastings Ranch with the themed streets.
Oh yeah.
That was always the Christmas tree. My mom said, "We ain't gonna stay out here long." I'm like, "I'm just glad you went." Oh, then shout out about the movie, yeah.
Oh yeah, the shameless plug.
So
This is 2 days from now.
we have a film that we're showing on. It's the premiere actually in Monrovia on Thursday. You can get your tickets at that link. If not, just search Greenwood Avenue Project or Style Quick Media. You'll find them. But it's a documentary that was done to culminate the 100-year anniversary of the Black Wall Street Massacre. The reason, now this was planned before the fires massacred our homes. So it's not really a correlation, but now we're making it that because the descendants who are coming out here to do the question and answer after the movie want to be driven through the neighborhood so they can see what it looked like to be in a situation where everything was gone because they weren't born yet. So that was their request. And so here we are. It's going to be at Look Theater. Meet and greet starts at 6, between 6 and 7. The movie starts probably at 7, and we'll have the question and answer portion about 8:45. So I hope to see you there. Ticket link is right there. bit.ly/Black Wall Street Movie. And
Allison, come if you'd like to. It's right in your
get
city.
your ticket today.
Yep.
Stop
I'm just
playing.
sharing the screen real quick. Sharing the
Yeah,
page.
and that's where it's at. Appreciate you.
And
It's all about the plug.
So for those who knew before, Look Theater is the old Gregorian Theater up on Myrtle in Monrovia. It's gone under, it's changed a couple times. It was Studio Grill when they started serving food and all that
I
stuff.
miss Fourth Dimension.
Oh, I know, the pool hall.
They turned that into a workout spot, I guess, now.
I don't know. But
I'm
yep.
so sad.
Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a fantastic day. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Peace.
Thank you.
And we're going to end this
Hold
in
on, Allison.
5, 4,